Chest up, shoulders back. This is Revival Fitness, your home for gains and brains. And in your quest for brain, you may be wondering how much gain that you should be acquiring. We hear all the time questions about which muscles attract women the most, which body type attracts women the most. And I stumbled across this, it's off of Twitter, and I think it's a very good, you can't really call it an experiment, but it's a good general little survey, seeing what average women like when it comes to men and their bodies. Whenever you see this type of content online, it's very commonly some influencer and maybe one or more of his friends, and they're parading through the streets. Oftentimes it's going to be during a Friday or Saturday night, there's a bunch of drunk women, maybe they're at the beach during spring break, kind of low-hanging fruit, and they'll say, hey, you like my body type, you like his body type, or they'll show pictures or something. But I like this style because you're getting just genuine reactions. People are not in front of the camera, they're not really pressured, or they may not feel the need to lie or exaggerate. They can simply type something and hit send. So there's kind of less pressure and less possibility to be swayed one way or the other because of that. We have 9 drawings. That's another aspect of this that I really like for the sake of objectivity. We are not looking at different races of men, men with different faces, different heights. Some guys have social status that can make women more drawn to them, even if otherwise they would not be. Number 1 is starting out pretty skinny. Number 2 is, I guess, closer to skinny fat-ish. Skinny fat is not really properly represented on this chart. That's something to note. Number 3, we're getting into the more, if you want to say quote-unquote natural aesthetic, right? Noticeable muscle mass, visible abs, he's pretty lean. Number 4 and number 5, getting pretty darn big. Number 6 is, I mean, that's IFBB pro territory, essentially. Number 7 is very muscular, but he does not have the shreds. He does not have really any visible abdominal definition, maybe a little bit. You could call this bear mode. Number 8 is fat. Now, there is some arm muscles there too. That's one thing I don't like about this. You know, these guys all have a decent level of arm muscle. Number 9 is at the point of, you could basically say, morbid obesity. So before we begin, I want you to comment down below which number or numbers you think that the women broadly are going to choose as the most attractive. Because the final answers may surprise you, especially those of you that consume tons of fitness content, aesthetic bra content. I got tons of play in college looking like this. Pencil neck, 155 pounds soaking wet. I had some arm and shoulder definition, some muscle mass generally, but I was still fitting into small size shirts very easily. Then whenever I'm at the peak of my bulks, about 20% body fat, I do not struggle with women at all in this scenario either. There is no gym for your face. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before, and it's very true. If you have a face that women find attractive, you are going to have more leeway. You could argue much more leeway when it comes to your physique than a guy that she considers just very average. But even knowing that, a lot of guys are still struggling and confused with their skincare. And that is why I'm proud to tell you that the sponsor of today's video, Tiege Hanley, makes your skincare both easy and affordable. I use the Tiege Hanley Level 1 routine, and I recommend you start with that system as well. Each box includes a daily face wash. This is something I like to throw into my gym bag, put it on when I'm done working up a sweat after training. You get AM and PM moisturizers. The AM one contains SPF 20 to keep your skin safe from those UV rays. The PM one is very good as well to make sure that your skin is not drying out overnight. And the most powerful part of this box is the 2 times a week exfoliating scrub. This is going to really dig into your skin and remove dead cells. Most guys are going to see noticeable results in 3 to 6 weeks. And if you like Tiege Hanley's products, you can also subscribe and save by becoming a member. You're going to get 20% off for life, a 100% money back guarantee. You also will receive 30% off of your first box and your choice of a free gift in that package. You can choose between a shower scrubber that is going to dig into your skin in ways that your hands and typical loofahs simply cannot do, or the nails package, which includes 2 premium stainless steel nail clippers, scissors, and high-quality tweezers that you can easily carry with you. If I had to pick between one of these, I would probably choose the nail kit because nothing's worse than being out or traveling and realizing you've got a big hangnail or nose hair. Some of you guys have definitely got to trim those things up. Tiege Hanley has thousands of 5-star reviews online. They have free shipping to the United States and Canada. You can snooze or cancel this subscription at any time. So if you guys are looking to give Tiege Hanley a try, be sure to click the link in the pinned comment and description box down below. 30% off your first box, choose your free gift, and get up to 20% off for life. So now let's go into the results. I scrolled through dozens and dozens of replies to this, and we're going to keep a running tally on the screen of how many times a given body type is mentioned. This one says, 6 is going to take it out on you when his trend pusher is late, but also if he's on time. I'm going to assume that's a guy being snarky. Crystalina says 1 or 2, skinny and tall is an elite combo with the hard eyes. That's a very big thing. A lot of guys get angry about that. You guys might have seen the meme whenever it'll be some dude in the gym later eating his last meal, and he's like, I do all this just for her to go smash the drug dealer that looks like a pencil. That does happen, man. Some women do have a very big preference. I think the tall part is more important there than the skinny part. Echo says somewhere between 7 and 8. Greenus says 7 and 8 again. She says 8 is too overweight, but 7 seems to have too cut and large biceps. Maybe if 8 was 15 pounds lighter. She also says 2 is nice, also if he's tall. Tall men can get away with being lean and skinny. Just like I said, I didn't even read this beforehand, but that exactly proves my point. Gianna says, my husband sits between 3 and 7. Yummy, so she gives a pretty good range. Melanie says 4. Indifference says, this is why I'm staying at 3 to 4 at most. Oh, this is a guy. Then Rat King says, the 7 to 8 crowd gives me hope for humanity. Okay, so of course a bunch of guys are replying even though nobody asked them. So typical. Kat says somewhere around 3 is good. Xteen says size 2 and about 5'10". NRD Girl says anywhere from 4 to 7 works. Moon Girl says ideally 7. Reagan says 7, then 4. Anne says 3. Brianna says 6 to 7. Jay Hitchcock says 7. Most of these look like they can't even lift their arms overhead. I prefer men who have muscles from work, not just from going to the gym and taking steroids. A lot of women do not care about the most aesthetic muscles. They don't care about maximum hypertrophy and optimizing the lats on the iliac pull down in the ideal side delt routine. They just like a guy that obviously has muscle mass, he fills out shirts, broad shoulders, you know, big arms, or even if they're not totally optimized. You guys have to realize, man, all these minute little details that we may notice on other guys' physiques, women do not notice. This guy says, damn it, ladies, let's see more votes for 2 to 3. Dude, shut up. Karis says 5 is ideal, but 3 to 7 are all good. Nothing wrong with 1 and 2, but they look kinda pubescent to me. Bethany says, ooh, she typed it all out perfectly. Most preferable, 3, 4, and 7. Least preferable, 1, 6, and 9. And then she says acceptable is 2, 5, and 8. Dernhelm says 2 to 4. My husband used to be fairly slender, and I'm not super into tons of muscle. Another guy, plant-powered libertarian, 1 to 4 achievable naturally. Shut up, geek. Now this one's interesting because the topic of dadbod has very, very different definitions depending on who you talk to. Scarlett says, where is dadbod? That's like a 2, but give him a little more chub in the gut. That's good stuff. So I think we have the first proponent of the actual dadbod physique, not what people online consider dadbod, which is basically just a buff guy at 15% to 20% body fat. She likes actual dadbod skinny fat-ish. She may be very outnumbered here. Maz says 7 is perfect, but his looks would not matter unless he had personality traits I look for. Well, looks absolutely matter, on the front end at least, because if you did not like his looks, you would not have given him the time of day in the first place. Shrimp Tempura says 4 to 6 or there's something wrong with you. Sarah Becky says 7. It shows he cares about his body, but not as seriously as 4 to 6. That's something to note as well. As I just mentioned, guys that are hyper obsessed with their bodies, they measure themselves all the time, they track every single meal, they go to the gym 7 days a week. They have to ensure they get 8 hours of sleep, all this stuff. If you want to have a relationship with a normal woman who's not completely obsessed with the gym herself, she's not competitive in anything, she's not a fitness model, whatever, the incompatibility is going to come down pretty hard. I mean, you can make this work as much as possible, but if you're dating a normal woman and she wants to go out on the weekends and go here, go out to eat here, go to this function, go do this, and you're always like, oh, but I gotta go to the gym, I gotta meal prep, I gotta do X, Y, and Z, all cornered around your physique, Most women do not appreciate that, and they do not find it attractive in general. Even if they do like your body, the lifestyle incompatibility is going to render that void. I know a lot of you guys think that you're going to one day find your perfect anime wife, tradcon. She just cooks your meals and supports you and fuels you up as you get a pump. Good luck, bro. Ban from Canada says, my husband is between 2 and 3 and hot AF. He's naturally skinny and works a physical job. Keep in mind, as a skinnier dude, as I've said before, your novice gains are very, very noticeable to the general public. You know, in terms of online fitness, you still look like shit, bro. But to the general public, you put on 10 pounds of noob gains, nothing remarkably impressive, but to anybody else that regularly sees you, that is a lot. That's when your mom is like, are you taking steroids? Happy nerdy wife says 3 is ideal. Another guy, I'm a dude, but I know that women prefer 4. Oh my god, you guys are insufferable, man. Jesus Christ. Katie says 3 and 7 all day. Natural always wins. Big muscles are for guys who gotta compensate. Ooh, she's going right for the jugular. But that is a commonly held belief. The guys that are seriously into aesthetics and bodybuilding, a lot of women will think that they're gay, and a lot of the time they're not wrong. Or just in general, the fact that this guy probably does not get many women, and he probably never has, right? That's why he's so obsessed with the gym, because it's like, if you could get women without doing all of this, why would you do it? Now, the counterpoint obviously is going to be, well, maybe it's your passion, you love it, whatever. But there are a lot of guys that go into getting as huge as possible, thinking that women are going to be the result of that, and they often find out the hard way that it does not work that way. Inelegant One says 2, 3, 7, 4, in order from most to least attractive. She does not like the rest. Para Lauren says, I can't believe I'm saying 2, ... So I guess she's sort of conflicted with that. Lady Ari says between 7 and 8. My boo has that body type. I love him. Anna says 3 and 7. The guy I'm dating right now is a 3. So much different with guys 8 and 9. She didn't really expand on how it's so much different. I don't know exactly what that means. Kat says there's many types missing, but I like skinny, toned, or dadbod, which has been a meme word in fitness for a long time now. Get toned arms, get toned abs, doesn't really mean anything. Le Cabro says between 7 and 8-ish. 8 is okay. So again, we see 7 seems to be the front runner right now, along with 3. Look says definitely not 4, 5, or 6. Those are pretty much the competitive bodybuilder style physiques, are pretty close to that. Angie K says 4, maybe 5. Stacy says 2 to 3. Sherry says 7-ish. Jody says 1 through 3. Aki says all are good but 4 to 7 personally. Cinnamon Girl says first row. I'm not a fan of the bodybuilder types or obese. K says 2 is my ideal. Northwood Sarah says 1 to 3. M says 1, 2, 3, 4, then jumps to 7. All of those are acceptable. Again, she skips over the serious bodybuilding physiques. Backpack says 2 to 3. Jasmine says anything from 1 to 3 is fine with me. Bars. Bimbe says 2 or 7. Ava says 7 to 8. Lolita says either 3 or 7. No in between. Lindsay says 2, maybe 3 depending. Liv says 7, 3, 4, 2 in that order. Famous Annie's 2, 3, or 4. Sassafras 7 to 9. This woman says 1 to 4. Boiled Peanut says 3, 4, and 7. Kate says 3 or 4. Olivia says 8 to 9. Alright, the big boy's getting some love out here now. Donna says 3, then 2. L-Train says 7. America the Beautiful says 3. This woman says 2 or 3. Moonflower says 2. Cherry Cola 1 to 2. Idris 1 says 2 and 7. That's a pretty significant jump. She goes from skinny up to beefy. Anne says 7. Bella says 2. Faranka says 4, 5, and 7. MLS says 4 to 7. Marsha says anywhere from 5 to 7. Mental Steak 3 and 4 are perfect. Caitlin Coffee says 2, obviously. Glucose Mammary Glands says 1 to 2. I like mine tall and lean. Jacob, the picture's a woman in a dress, I guess we'll go with it, says 7. Wanderluster says 7 to 8. Moonflower says 2 and 3. Unwanted Survivor 7, 8, 4, 5. I would love 6, but it's a bit too much. Then again, I've never been with 1 in person. So she would definitely go for it if for nothing else than the novelty, I would assume. Colleen says 1 or 2. Victoria says definitely 4. AI Bot Farm says 2 and 8. Carolina says 1, 2, and 8. RFB 7 to 8. Anne says 1 or 2 or 7 to 8. So once again, we see jumping from skinny up to pretty big but avoiding the center. Julie in Norwich says 1, Lily B says 7, Ray says 4 to 7, Trey says 2, C says 2 to 3 or 7, another big jump. Another big jump here with Nicolette, 1 to 3 or 7 and 8. Yet again, 1, 2, 3 or 7. Dr. Daria says 1 to 3 or 7. Nagoda says 1 and 2. Bipedal Meat Popsicle says 3, 4, 5, and 7. Emmy says 2. Cellar Door says 6. Arethea says between 3 and 5. Amy says 2 and 3, I guess. 8 is a weird jump. She's referring to what I was just talking about. Goes from slim to ripped to obese. Yeah, that's one of the problems with the chart. There is a fluffiness that I like too. Pink Ribbon says 3 to 4. The rest is too obese and scrawny.
What?
I mean, I wouldn't call 5 and 6 scrawny or obese, but I get what she tried to say. Alice Storm says, I personally like my man dead. It's a bit of a red flag, perhaps. Oh, here we go. Here's another dude. The amount of girls going for 7 is very surprising to me. He's fat, TBH. Oh my god, yet again, man, we're going from fitness industry so-called fat to what actual fat is. So this guy can't mentally wrap his head around the fact that women, as I've told you guys so many times, they like dudes with some chub on them, if you've got some visible muscle mass. Not outright being fat, like this guy says, his body dysmorphia. This dude is a perfect illustration of what so many guys in the fitness scene think versus reality. And Marsha replies to him, a little stomach fat is okay as long as he is mostly muscular. I just keep getting vindicated, don't I? The Eclipse says 2, 3, 7, and 8. And finally, Great Basin says, I admit I am a sucker for muscles and big guys, but 9 is pushing it. However, I also have to admit that 4 to 7 at least are likely going to have, quote-unquote, I did way too many anabolics problems along the way. The only one I'm hard no on is 1. Only freshly 18 twinks have that body.
Here is your winner, and the new WWE Champion!
So on the screen now, you can see the final tally. There is ultimately a good distribution, but keep in mind that middle portion, man, that very aesthetic bodybuilder physique. A lot of women jumped from 2 to 3, up to 7 and or 8. So understand this, guys, the deeper that you go into the gym, especially if PEDs enter the mix, there are plenty of women that are into that look. Very, very jacked guys, ripped, all that stuff. But compared to the gen pop of women, they're a small percentage. They're at the end of the bell curve, the big center of the bell curve, where most women are. They do not like what we see on the internet all the time. And ultimately, a lot of women, at least in the context of a relationship, they want to be the more attractive one. They want to be the one that people are focusing on. They want to be the one that gets the attention. They're not going to seriously date a guy that is constantly in such great shape that so much attention is taken off of her. Now, in the context of a one-night stand or a fling, an FWB, a hookup, whatever, that can definitely change. But tell me down below if your predictions were accurate. What are your thoughts on this? I'm sure this is going to rile up a lot of people. And I'll keep my eye out for more things like this. This was a nice little survey, and it's very telling about a lot of misconceptions a lot of dudes have. So if you are very surprised by the results here, that simply says that you do not have very much experience with women. Some of you guys are teenagers, younger, you don't have any at all. And you really even shouldn't at that young age. You're going to get that over the next few years as you sort of get into dating and all this other stuff. But some of the stuff you see online, when it comes to, oh, the perfect male body and this and that, guys, you need to realize women are not into this on the whole nearly as much as you may be led to believe. And you don't have to become a walking Greek god and make all those sacrifices just to get laid. Now, all that said, if you're into these serious fitness girls like I am, the muscle mommies, then you could probably push this very far and get what you want. But a lot of you guys are into more so-called average-looking women on the skinnier side, maybe generally thick but not seriously into the gym. You don't have to push it this hard, even though I guess you want to. But this has been it, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the pinned comment. Get your savings with Tiege Hanley. If you want to get in direct contact with me, the best way to do so is on Patreon. You also will get access to our community Discord server there with hundreds of active members. Be sure to check out my training programs, and I also offer online coaching if you want to get down and dirty and really take your training and eating to the next level. And I will catch you guys next time.